What if the good you have been waiting for is not far away at all? What if it is already moving towards you, quietly, gently, even now, while you are still wondering when life will change? So many people live as if they must chase every blessing, prove their worth, fight for every answer, and hold everything together with tired hands. But that is not the deepest truth of life. The deepest truth is much softer than that. The deepest truth is that life is always moving, always responding, always making room for healing, peace, love, and new beginnings. And when you stop bracing yourself against life, you begin to feel that something good has been trying to reach you all along. There may have been moments when it felt like nothing was working. Moments when the silence felt too long, the waiting felt too heavy, and your heart grew tired from hoping. There may have been nights when you looked at your life and wondered if things would ever feel easier, lighter, more peaceful. You may have asked yourself why some things seem to take so long. You may have felt forgotten, overlooked, or left behind. But even in those moments, something deeper was still at work. Even then, life had not turned away from you. Even then, love had not passed you by. Even then, unseen doors were being prepared, hidden changes were taking place, and the next step was quietly making its way toward you. It is easy to believe in goodness when things are already going well. It is easy to trust when the answer comes quickly, when the door opens right away, when love arrives in the form you expected. But the real shift begins when you learn how to trust even in the middle of not knowing. The real shift begins when you stop measuring life only by what you can see today. There is so much happening beneath the surface that the eyes cannot measure. There are seeds growing in the dark before they ever reach the light. There are answers forming before they ever become clear. There are blessings gathering before they ever arrive in your hands. Life is doing more for you than you may understand right now. Sometimes the mind becomes so used to fear that it no longer knows how to rest. It starts to believe that if it worries enough, plans enough, controls enough, it can protect you from pain. But worry is not wisdom. Fear is not guidance. Control is not peace. These things may feel powerful for a moment, but they do not create the kind of life your heart is truly asking for. They only make the spirit tired. They only make the body heavy. They only pull you farther away from the quiet knowing that says, I am still held, I am still guided, and life has not forgotten my name. There is a gentler way to live. There is a way to move through life that does not begin with fear, but with trust. There is a way to receive that does not begin with proving, but with opening. There is a way to heal that does not begin with force, but with softness. And that is the doorway opening here. Not the doorway of struggle, but the doorway of peace. Not the doorway of chasing, but the doorway of allowing. Not the doorway of trying to become worthy, but the doorway of remembering that worth was always yours. Think for a moment about how much energy has gone into trying to make everything happen on your own. Think about how often you have tried to carry not only your own feelings, but the whole weight of the future. Think about how many times you have told yourself that once this one thing works out, then you will finally relax. Once this answer comes, then you will feel safe. Once life changes, then your heart can soften. But peace does not begin after everything is solved. Peace begins when you stop asking life to prove itself before you let your heart open. Peace begins when you remember that your spirit was not made to live in constant tension. Something beautiful happens when you stop speaking to life with fear and begin speaking to it with trust. Your body starts to settle. Your thoughts start to slow down. Your breath becomes softer. Your heart becomes more open. And what once felt distant begins to feel possible again. Not because the outside world changed in 1 second, but because something inside you did. A hard place softened. A tired place rested. A fearful place remembered that it did not need to carry everything alone. There is nothing weak about softness. There is nothing foolish about trust. There is nothing lazy about rest. These things are often misunderstood in a world that praises pushing and striving. But there is deep wisdom in knowing when to stop fighting. There is deep strength in knowing when to release the grip of fear. There is deep healing in knowing that you are allowed to receive help from life itself. The sun does not strain to rise. The flowers do not force themselves open. The river does not panic about how it will reach the sea. Life already understands movement. Life already understands timing. Life already understands how to carry what it belongs where it is meant to go. And so the question becomes very simple. Can you let yourself believe, even for this moment, that good things are still on their way? Can you let yourself believe that peace is possible for you? Can you let yourself believe that you are not being punished by delay, but prepared by life? Can you let yourself believe that what is meant for you does not need to be hunted down with fear? These are not small questions. These are healing questions. These are the kinds of questions that begin to change the shape of your inner world. You do not need to answer them perfectly. You do not need to feel sure of everything right away. You do not need to force belief. You only need to become willing. Willing to let in a little more hope. Willing to release a little more fear. Willing to consider that maybe life is still working in your favor. That willingness is enough to begin. That willingness is enough to create space. That willingness is enough to invite a new way of seeing. There are times when life seems quiet, but quiet does not mean empty. There are times when things seem delayed, but delay does not mean denial. There are times when you feel as if nothing is happening, but that does not mean nothing is moving. Some of the most important changes happen where the eyes cannot yet see. Roots grow deep before branches spread wide. Healing begins in silence before it shows on the surface. A shift in belief happens inside long before it changes your outer world. Never think that because you cannot see the full picture, life has stopped painting it. Everything good is finding its way to you. May sound simple, but there is deep peace inside those words. They remind the heart that life is not just taking from you. They remind the spirit that blessings are not only for others. They remind the mind that not everything must be forced into place. There are things already moving toward you. There is peace already looking for a place to land. There is healing already making its way through hidden paths. There is love that knows how to find you. There is guidance that knows how to reach you. There is support that does not need to be begged for. There is goodness that is not lost. It is simply on its way. Maybe part of your heart has grown tired from waiting. Maybe part of you feels guarded because hope has felt painful before. Maybe you have learned to expect disappointment because it felt safer than expecting joy. This happens to many people. When life has been hard, the heart sometimes begins to protect itself by becoming smaller. It begins to say, do not hope too much, do not trust too much, do not open too much. But a closed heart may protect itself from pain for a moment, and at the same time, it also blocks the warmth that wants to reach it. It also blocks the love that wants to enter. It also blocks the good that is trying to find a home within you. So this moment is an invitation to soften again. Not all at once, not in a forced way, just a little, just enough to let light into the regard, just enough to let peace sit beside you, just enough to let your heart hear a gentler truth. You do not have to live as if life is always about to hurt you. You do not have to carry every tomorrow before it arrives. You do not have to keep speaking the language of fear when your soul is asking for the language of peace. Right here, right now, without needing anything else to change first, you can begin to tell yourself something new. You can begin to say, life is still working with me. Goodness still knows how to find me. I am not outside the reach of peace. I am not too late for healing. I am not forgotten by life. These are not just comforting words. They are a new way of meeting the moment. They are a new way of placing your heart in relationship with life. They are a new way of saying, I am ready to stop living as if only fear is real. The mind may still ask questions. It may still say, but what about this problem? What about that delay? What about the thing that did not work out? And yet, even with those questions, there can still be peace. Peace is not the absence of every unknown. Peace is the decision to stop feeding every unknown with fear. Peace is the quiet courage to say, I do not see the full road, but I do not need to fill the darkness with panic. Peace is the willingness to trust that some answers arrive only after the heart becomes still enough to receive them. There is a great difference between being asleep to your life and being deeply at ease within it. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. This is not about denying pain or acting as if disappointment does not exist. This is about choosing not to let pain become your only truth. It is about choosing not to let fear write the whole story. It is about remembering that even within a hard season, grace can still be present. Even in uncertainty, support can still be real. Even in waiting, goodness can still be moving. You may be closer than you think to the change you have been asking for, not because you have earned it with struggle, but because life moves in ways the mind cannot always predict. Sometimes the very thing you thought was holding you back was quietly redirecting you. Sometimes the closed door was protecting you from something too small. Sometimes the silence was making room for a deeper answer. Sometimes the delay was creating a stronger foundation. Life has ways of working that are wiser than panic, deeper than fear, and kinder than your tired mind may realize in this moment. So let your heart rest here for a while. Let these words come close to the places in you that have been working too hard. Let them touch the place that has felt tired from figuring everything out. Let them sit beside the part of you that has feared it may never happen. You do not need to keep proving you are worthy of good things. You do not need to keep earning rest. You do not need to keep asking life to show you every answer before you allow yourself a little peace. Goodness does not arrive only when you become perfect. Goodness arrives when the vows. There is room for it, and there can be room now. Not because every problem is solved, but because your heart is allowed to soften anyway. Not because you know every step, but because you can trust the next breath. Not because life has given you every answer, but because life is still holding you, even in the questions. This is how a new chapter begins, not always with noise, not always with great certainty. Sometimes it begins with a quiet moment like this, where something inside you stops running and starts listening, stops gripping and starts allowing, stops saying, "What if it all goes wrong?" and begins asking, "What if life is still carrying something beautiful toward me?" Take a slow breath now and notice what changes when you do not rush it. Notice how the body responds when the breath is gentle instead of hurried. Notice how even one soft breath begins to create a little more space inside you. So often the mind races ahead while the body stays behind, carrying tension, tightness, and tiredness that no one else can see. The shoulders lift, the jaw hardens, the chest becomes tight, the stomach holds on. Without even meaning to, the whole body begins to live in defense. But the breath is a quiet way home. The breath reminds the body that this moment is not the same as every fearful thought. The breath reminds the heart that it can return to safety now. There is something deeply healing about coming back to the present moment. Not because the present is always perfect, but because it is the only place where peace can truly be felt. Fear usually lives in the future. regret usually lives in the past, but peace lives here. Peace lives in this breath. Peace lives in this small moment where nothing else is required from you except your willingness to arrive. Right now, you do not need to solve the whole week. You do not need to fix the whole future. You do not need to answer every question your mind can invent. Right now, you only need to be here. Feel what it means to let this moment be enough. Not forever, just now. Let this breath be enough. Let this quiet be enough. Let this pause be enough. There is a kind of relief that comes when the heart stops trying to carry everything at once. There is a kind of freedom that comes when you stop asking the present moment to already contain every answer. This moment does not need to hold the full map. It only needs to hold your awareness. It only needs to hold your breath. It only needs to hold your presence. The mind may not be used to this. It may still want to jump ahead. It may still want to scan for danger, plan for every outcome, prepare for every possible problem. But preparation is not peace. Sometimes the mind keeps moving because it has forgotten that stillness is safe. It has forgotten that rest is not failure. It has forgotten that being present is not the same as being careless. In truth, presence is one of the deepest forms of wisdom. Presence lets you hear what fear covers up. Presence lets you feel what rushing makes impossible to notice. Presence allows clarity to rise without being forced. As you breathe, let the loosen its grip on you. Let the pressure to be more, do more, know more begin to soften. There is no need to perform here. There is no need to prove anything. There is no need to hold yourself together so tightly. The breath is asking nothing from you except honesty. And maybe honesty sounds like this: I am tired. I have been carrying too much. I have been thinking too hard. I have been forgetting how to rest. There is healing in telling the truth gently. There is healing in not pretending to be fine when what you truly need is softness. Breathe in slowly, and instead of pulling in stress with the breath, imagine breathing in ease. Imagine the breath as light, as warmth, as calm, moving through the body. Then breathe out and imagine that what leaves you does not need to return. The tight thought, the hard feeling, the pressure to control, the fear that says you must do everything right now. Let the breath become a quiet exchange. Inhale peace. Exhale strain. Inhale trust. Exhale tension. Inhale softness. Exhale control. The present moment is often much kinder than the mind says it is. The mind can tell stories about what might happen later, about what should have happened before, about what is still missing. But the body lives here. The body knows this room, this breath, this chair, this bed, this heartbeat, this small space of now. The body knows the truth of this exact moment more honestly than fear does. And many times, when you return to the body through the breath, you discover that this moment is not attacking you. This moment is not demanding war. This moment is simply asking for your presence. You do not need to carry the voice of yesterday into this breath. You do not need to bring tomorrow's questions into this pause. There is power in letting one moment stand on its own without filling it with all the others. There is power in saying, right now I do not need to relive the past, and I do not need to predict the future. Right now I am here, and here is enough. This is not escape. This is alignment. This is how the spirit begins to gather itself again. This is how inner peace becomes more than an idea and starts becoming a felt experience. Sometimes people think peace will come after they finally have the right answer. But often peace comes first, and then the answer becomes easier to hear. A restless mind can miss what a calm heart can sense. A tense body can block what a softened spirit is trying to receive. This is why grounding matters. This is why the breath matters. This is why slowing down is not a waste of time. It creates a clear place inside you. It opens a quiet inner room where wisdom can enter without needing to shout. Notice what happens when you stop pulling away from yourself. Notice what happens when you stop treating stillness like something to fear. There is so much noise in the world, so many demands, so many voices telling you to hurry, improve, fix, chase, and compare. But none of those voices can replace your own deep inner knowing. And that knowing becomes easier to hear when you stop running from the moment you are in. You do not find your deepest truth by outrunning yourself. You find it by returning to yourself. The present moment has a way of putting things back into right size. A thought that felt huge may soften. A worry that felt endless may loosen. A fear that felt urgent may not feel as powerful when you stop feeding it with 10 more thoughts. The breath interrupts the spiral. The breath says, "Come back." The breath says, "Return to what is real now." The breath says, "You are allowed to stop for a moment." And in that stopping, the heart begins to trust again. Maybe you have spent so much time in survival mode that peace feels unfamiliar. Maybe calm feels strange because your body has learned to expect tension. If that is true, then be gentle. There is no need to force instant stillness. There is no need to demand immediate peace from yourself. Just begin where you are. One breath, one pause, one small return to the present. Healing often begins in very simple ways, not all at once, not in some dramatic moment. Sometimes healing begins when you realize that the next breath can be softer than the last one. As you sit with the present moment, allow yourself to notice what is supporting you right now. Maybe it is the ground under your feet. Maybe it is the chair holding your body. Maybe it is the room around you. Maybe it is the breath itself moving without you having to command it. There is support here already. Life is supporting you in ways so basic and steady that they can easily be missed. The heart keeps beating, the lungs keep breathing, the earth keeps holding. Even now you are not suspended in emptiness, you are being held. When you realize that support is already here, even in this simple moment, something changes. You stop feeling as if you must create safety entirely by yourself. You begin to understand that you are part of life, not separate from it. You begin to remember that life is not only something happening around you, it is also something moving through you. The same life that grows trees, opens flowers, lifts the sun, and moves rivers also moves through your breath right now. The same intelligence that knows how to guide the seasons also knows how to guide a weary heart back to calm. This moment can be a sanctuary if you allow it. Not because it removes all difficulty, but because it gives your spirit a place to rest from difficulty. A sanctuary is not always a place with no problems. Sometimes it is simply a place where the soul remembers it does not have to tense against everything all the time. The present moment can become that sanctuary. The breath can become that doorway. Each inhale can say, "Come back to yourself." Each exhale can say, "You do not need to carry so much right now." There is great healing in becoming simple again. The mind often wants complexity. It wants to know every reason, every outcome, every hidden turn. But the soul often heals through simplicity, a breath, a pause, a softened shoulder, a hand resting over the heart, a quiet thought that says, "I am here now. I am safe enough to breathe. I am safe enough to soften. I am safe enough to stop running for one moment." These simple things are not small. They are the beginning of restoration. They are the ground where peace starts growing. As the body settles, you may notice emotions that were hidden beneath all the noise. You may notice sadness, tiredness, longing, or even relief. Let them be there without needing to fix them right away. Presence is not about becoming emotionless. Presence is about making room. Room for breath. Room for truth. Room for what has been pushed aside. When the breath softens the body, the heart often feels safe enough to speak. Let it speak gently. Let it say what it needs. The present moment can hold more than the mind thinks it can. You may be surprised by how much changes when you stop fighting the moment you are in. Fighting consumes so much energy. Resisting consumes so much life force. But when you breathe and allow yourself to be here, the nervous system gets a new message. The message is not danger, danger, keep going, do more. The message becomes, it is safe to settle. It is safe to pause. It is safe to come home to the body. It is safe to release what you have been bracing against. This is how the mind begins to trust the present again, not through pressure, not through force, through repeated, kindness, through letting the breath teach the body what peace feels like, through returning again and again to now, through learning that this moment does not need to be crowded with every fear you have ever had, through learning that what is here now can be met more gently. And once you begin to taste even a little of that peace, you start to understand something important. You do not have to wait until life is perfect to feel grounded. You do not have to wait until everything is certain to breathe deeply. You do not have to wait until every outer condition improves before you allow inner softness. The present moment is available even in the middle of change, even in the middle of uncertainty, even in the middle of becoming. And if peace can be found here, even for one breath, then it can begin to grow. So let yourself stay here a little longer. Let yourself rest in this simple now. Feel the breath move. Feel the body settle. Feel the heart becoming quieter. Not because every answer has arrived, but because it does not need to chase every answer in this instant. This breath is enough for now. This moment is enough for now. This pause is enough for now. And sometimes, when you truly let now be enough, something extraordinary happens. The goodness you were trying so hard to reach begins to feel closer. Not because you grabbed it, but because you became still enough to notice it. There is a belief many people carry without even realizing it. The belief says that if something good is going to happen, it must happen because you chased it hard enough, worked for it long enough, worried over it enough, and held on tightly enough. This belief can shape an entire life. It can make rest feel unsafe. It can make waiting feel like failure. It can make receiving feel less real than striving. But this belief is not the only way to live. There is another truth, and it is much softer, much wiser, and much more freeing. You do not need to chase what is truly meant for you. This does not mean you stop caring. This does not mean you do nothing. This does not mean you become passive or stop showing up for your life. It means something far deeper. It means you stop acting as if fear is the force that brings your blessings to you. It means you stop treating control like a form of faith. It means you stop believing that goodness only arrives when you exhaust yourself trying to force it into place. There is a huge difference between moving with life and fighting against it. There is a huge difference between inspired action and fearful chasing. One flows from trust. The other grows from panic. Chasing has a certain feeling in the body. It feels tight. It feels urgent. It feels restless. It says, if I do not grab this now, I will lose everything. It says, if I stop pushing, nothing good will happen. It says, if I am not constantly controlling the outcome, life will forget me. But life does not respond well to fear disguised as effort. Fear clouds the heart. Fear narrows the vision. Fear makes the spirit tired. It becomes difficult to hear guidance when everything inside is shouting. It becomes difficult to receive when the hands are clenched. Allowing has a different feeling. Allowing does not mean giving up. Allowing means making space. Allowing means trusting that there is a natural movement in life that does not need to be ruled by fear. Allowing means believing that what is truly aligned with your path can find its way to you without being dragged into place. Allowing is open hands instead of clenched fists. It is a softened breath instead of a tight chest. It is a quiet confidence that says, I will do my part, but I do not need to force what belongs to me. I do not need to break myself trying to receive what life already knows how to deliver. So much suffering comes from trying to control timing. The mind wants to know when. It wants to know how. It wants proof that everything is moving according to plan. It wants guarantees before it will relax. But life rarely unfolds on command. It moves in seasons. It moves in layers. It moves in ways that often make sense only later. When you spend all your energy trying to control timing, you miss the deeper lesson of trust. You miss the quiet ways life is already preparing you. You miss the unseen ways things are already shifting in your favor. There is wisdom in effort, but only when effort comes from clarity and not from fear. You can take a step without chasing. You can say yes to an opportunity without desperation. You can move toward what calls you without trying to force the whole path to appear at once. Healthy movement feels different from panic. Healthy movement has peace inside it. Healthy movement says, I am willing to act, but I do not need to run after what is mine as if it cannot find me. Healthy movement trusts that the right doors can open without being kicked down. Think about how often people chase things that are not even right for them simply because they are afraid of emptiness or delay. They chase approval that never brings peace. They chase outcomes that drain them. They chase relationships that require them to shrink. They chase timelines that were never meant to be theirs. Fear can make anything look urgent. But urgency is not always truth. Sometimes what feels most urgent is simply the old habit of believing you must earn everything through struggle. And sometimes the most healing thing you can do is step back and ask, is this truly mine, or am I only chasing because I am afraid to trust? What belongs to you carries a different energy. It may still ask for patience. It may still ask for courage. It may still ask for growth, but it will not require you to lose yourself. It will not require endless fear as the price of arrival. It will not ask you to betray your peace in order to receive it. What belongs to you will meet you in truth. It will meet you in timing. It will meet you in alignment. It may not come the way the fearful mind demanded, but it will come in a way that fits more deeply than panic ever could have planned. There is something very powerful that happens when you stop chasing. At first, the mind may become nervous. It may think, if I stop pushing, I will lose momentum. If I stop forcing, nothing will happen. If I stop worrying, I will become careless. But then something surprising begins to unfold. You start to hear yourself more clearly. You start to feel which steps are real and which were only driven by panic. You begin to notice that life has rhythms. You begin to notice that some things flow toward you more easily when you are not standing in the way with all your fear. You begin to notice that peace makes you more open, not less effective. Chasing often comes from the belief that good things are scarce. It says, there is not enough, so I must hold on harder. It says, blessings pass people by, so I must prove I deserve one. It says, if I do not act from fear, I will miss my chance. But abundance does not grow in the soil of panic. True receiving begins when the heart understands there is no need to wrestle life into loving you. Life is not a prize you must convince to come closer. Life is a relationship, and relationships grow best where trust is present. You do not need to chase peace. Peace deepens when you stop feeding fear. You do not need to chase love by becoming someone else. Love grows where truth can breathe. You do not need to chase healing as if your body is your enemy. Healing deepens when the body feels safe enough to soften. You do not need to chase every answer. Some answers arrive in stillness. Some blessings arrive in timing. Some changes arrive after surrender, not before it. Maybe you have lived for so long in effort that rest feels strange. Maybe you have spent years believing that if you were not pushing, you were failing. Maybe your mind only knows how to feel useful when it is fixing, managing, planning, and chasing. If that is true, then this truth may feel new. But let it come gently. Let it sit beside you without needing to be forced into belief. You do not have to change everything at once. You only need to begin questioning the old pattern. You only need to begin asking, what if I do not need to hunt down what is already moving toward me? What if trust could do what fear never could? There is a beautiful peace in understanding that your role is not to control the whole unfolding. Your role is to stay open, stay clear, stay present, and take the next true step when it comes. Your role is not to twist every event into your chosen shape. Your role is not to make life prove itself according to your clock. Your role is not to spend your days in spiritual exhaustion trying to force the river to move faster. The river already knows how to move. Life already knows how to unfold. What is asked of you is not endless pressure. What is asked of you is alignment. Alignment means your thoughts, your energy, your choices, and your trust begin to work together instead of fighting each other. Alignment means you stop saying you want peace while living in constant panic. Alignment means you stop saying you trust life while gripping every outcome with fear. Alignment means your heart begins to match the truth you are asking to receive. If you want ease, can you bring more ease into the way you move? If you want support, can you stop acting as if you must do it all alone? If you want love, can you begin by speaking to yourself more gently? Alignment is not about perfection. It is about honesty. It is about making room for the energy of what you truly want. What if the blessings you seek are not asking you to run harder, but to soften enough to receive them? What if the next chapter is not blocked by a lack of effort, but by too much fear? What if life has been trying to bring you something good, but your hands have been too full of control to hold it? These questions are not meant to shame you. They are meant to free you. They are meant to show you that there is another way. A way that honors your effort without worshiping struggle. A way that allows action without panic. A way that makes space for grace. There is no shame in having chased. Many people learn to live this way. Many people were taught that love, success, peace, and security had to be earned through proving, pleasing, and pushing. Many people were never shown what trust feels like in the body. Many people were never taught that softness is also strength. So if you have chased, be gentle with yourself. You were trying to protect your dreams. You were trying to prevent loss. You were trying to secure goodness before it disappeared. But now you can learn a new way. Now you can let the nervous system understand that not everything good arrives through fear. Imagine what your life might feel like if you stopped running after every answer. Imagine what it might feel like to trust that the right opportunities can find you. Imagine what it might feel like to believe that what is truly yours does not need to be torn from life with force. Imagine the breath becoming easier. Imagine the shoulders dropping. Imagine the heart no longer living in a constant state of pursuit. This is not laziness. This is liberation. This is a return to the deep truth that life is not only something you chase, it is also something you receive. Receiving is a sacred skill. It asks for openness. It asks for trust. It asks for enough quiet inside that you can recognize what is being offered. You cannot truly receive while your whole being is shouting in fear. You cannot truly notice what is arriving when the mind is only focused on what has not yet appeared. This is why the mindset shift matters so much. The shift is not from caring to not caring. It is from chasing to allowing. It is from strain to trust. It is from trying to force life to obey fear, to being willing to move with life in peace. Everything good is finding its way to you means you can stop relating to your desires as if they are always outside your reach. It means you can stop speaking to your future as if it is deaf to your heart. It means you can begin to trust that what is aligned will arrive through paths you may not see yet. It means you can breathe while life unfolds. It means you can remain open without becoming desperate. It means you can believe in goodness without exhausting yourself trying to drag it closer. And so here is the truth, simple and clear. You do not need to chase what is yours. You do not need to force what is ready to come. You do not need to lose your peace in order to receive your blessings. You are allowed to trust. You are allowed to soften. You are allowed to take true steps without living in fear. You are allowed to believe that goodness can find you. And when you begin to live from that truth, something inside you changes. The heart becomes lighter. The mind becomes quieter. The spirit becomes more open. And what once felt far away begins to feel possible. Not because you hunted it down, but because you finally made room for it to arrive. There is a deep kind of peace that begins to grow inside you when you truly understand that what is good for you is not lost. It is not wandering without direction. It is not forgetting your name. It is not being given only to others while passing you by. What is good for you is already moving. It may be quiet right now. It may be hidden from your eyes. It may not have arrived in the form or timing you expected, but that does not mean it is absent. It means life is still arranging it, still guiding it, still making a way for it to reach you. So many people look at their life and think that if something has not arrived yet, it must not be coming. If the answer has not appeared, they assume the answer does not exist. If love has not shown up, they assume love has passed them by. If healing still feels slow, they assume they are somehow blocked from it. But life does not work in such a small way. Life is not only working in the things you can already hold in your hands. Life is also working in unseen places, in hidden timing, in quiet changes, in inner shifts, and in roads that have not yet fully opened. A seed does not break through the earth the same day it is planted. Still, the seed is not doing nothing. Beneath the surface, it is opening. It is reaching, is growing in darkness before it ever greets the light. Your life often moves in the same way. There are blessings that begin below the surface. There are changes that start in silence. There are moments when nothing seems visible, and yet everything is quietly becoming ready. This is why waiting does not always mean something is missing. Sometimes waiting means something is forming. Everything good is already on its way to you, asks you to see life through a larger lens. Not just through the lens of this exact moment, not just through the lens of what has already happened, but through the lens of trust. Through the lens that understands that life is bigger than one hard day, one long season, one delay, one closed door, or one unanswered question. The mind often wants proof before it will soften. But the heart heals when it learns to trust before proof appears. There may be things you have prayed for, hoped for, dreamed about, or quietly asked life to bring into your world. Maybe it is peace. Maybe it is love. Maybe it is healing in the body. Maybe it is freedom from fear. Maybe it is a new beginning that feels more like you. Maybe it is simply a softer life, one where your heart no longer feels so tired. Whatever it is, it matters. And just because it has not arrived yet does not mean it is not real. Just because it has taken time does not mean it has been denied. Some things are still making their way through roads your eyes cannot yet see. The mind often becomes restless because it wants to know exactly how good things will arrive. It wants the path to be clear. It wants the steps laid out. It wants guarantees. But some of the most beautiful things in life arrive through paths you never would have planned. Sometimes what reaches you comes through a redirection you once resisted. Sometimes it comes through a delay that later makes sense. Sometimes it comes through a quiet ending that opened more space than you realized at the time. Life is often working through events that only reveal their meaning later. That does not make life cruel. It makes life wise. When you begin to trust that everything good is already on its way, you stop speaking to life from lack. You stop telling yourself that all the good is somewhere else. You stop living as if peace belongs to other people more than it belongs to you. You stop acting as if you have already missed your chance. This shift is powerful because it changes the energy you live in. Instead of fear, there is more openness. Instead of panic, there is more patience. Instead of feeling cut off from blessings, you begin to feel connected to the natural movement of life again. That does not mean every day suddenly feels easy. It does not mean you never feel doubt again. It does not mean your heart never grows tired. But it gives you somewhere to return when fear starts speaking too loudly. It gives you a deeper truth to rest in. It gives you something real to hold when the mind begins to imagine the worst. You can return to the truth that goodness is not gone. You can return to the truth that life is still moving. You can return to the truth that there are things being arranged beyond what you can measure right now. Many people think peace will come only after everything arrives. But sometimes peace is what helps you stay open long enough to receive what is already coming. Peace keeps the heart from closing. Peace keeps fear from taking over the whole inner world. Peace keeps you available to notice guidance when it appears. When you live as if good things are already on their way, you stop standing at the door of life with doubt in your voice. You begin to stand there with quiet trust. You begin to say, I may not see it all yet, but I know something good is still moving toward me. This way of thinking softens the whole body. The shoulders stop carrying the future so heavily. The breath stops racing ahead. The heart begins to loosen its grip on disappointment. And slowly, something beautiful begins to happen. You no longer feel as if you are waiting in emptiness. You begin to feel as if you are being prepared in fullness. The waiting becomes less like punishment and more like a season of becoming. The delay becomes less like rejection and more like hidden movement. Your whole relationship with time begins to change. It is very important to understand that what is on its way to you is not only outer things. It is not only events, people, or outcomes. Goodness can also arrive as a new way of thinking. It can arrive as peace where fear once lived. It can arrive as a stronger sense of worth. It can arrive as emotional healing. It can arrive as rest. It can arrive as trust. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not only what comes to you from the outside, but what finally settles inside you. A quiet mind, a softer heart, a deeper faith, a stronger knowing that life is not against you. There are times when the mind says, "But I have waited so long," and that feeling is real. Waiting can be painful when the heart is tired. Waiting can feel lonely when the answer matters deeply. Waiting can stir old fears that say, maybe it will never happen. But even here, you are not abandoned. Even here, life is still with you. Even here, something can still be moving. You do not have to shame yourself for feeling tired. You do not have to pretend every delay feels easy. But you also do not have to turn delay into a final answer. Time passing is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it is a sign that something is still unfolding. Good things often require room to enter. And when the heart is full of fear, there is very little room. When the mind is full of stories about never, too late, not enough, and not for me, it becomes harder to receive what is trying to enter. That is why this truth matters so much. Everything good is already on its way does not just comfort the mind. It opens the heart. It creates inner space. It tells the whole being, you do not need to live as if all hope is gone. You can soften now. You can trust now. You can make room now. The world often teaches people to look for signs that something is missing. But there is another way to live, a way of looking for signs that love, if is still working, a kind word, a calm feeling, a new idea, a gentle opening, a moment of peace you did not expect, a sudden sense that maybe you are not as lost as you thought. These things matter. They are not small. They are reminders. They are quiet signals that life is still in motion, that support is still real, that good is still present in ways you can begin to notice if you stop looking only through fear. Maybe what is coming to you will not look exactly the way you once imagined. That can be hard for the mind, because the mind loves pictures, it loves plans, it loves control. But life often gives in a wiser way than fear would choose. Sometimes the thing you once asked for was too small for who you are becoming. Sometimes the version you imagined could not hold the fullness of what life wanted to bring. Sometimes a closed door was not loss at all. It was protection or redirection or preparation for something truer. This is why trust matters more than control. Trust keeps the heart open to better forms of good. You are not standing outside of goodness. You are not forgotten by grace. You are not invisible to life. The same life that turns night into morning, winter into spring, and silence into song is still moving for you too. The same quiet wisdom that carries the seasons is carrying your story, even if you do not know how, even if you do not know when, even if your mind still has questions. Something good can still be on its way. Let yourself imagine that for a moment, not as a fantasy, but as a new inner posture. Imagine waking in the morning with the thought that life is still bringing good things to you. Imagine moving through the day with less fear that you have missed your chance. Imagine speaking to yourself with more softness. Imagine your heart becoming less guarded and more open to unexpected blessings. This is not about pretending every problem has disappeared. It is about no longer giving fear the final word. When you live this way, hope becomes calmer, it becomes steadier. It is no longer desperate. It no longer begs. It no longer trembles at every delay. It begins to feel like quiet knowing. Not because you can see the full path, but because something deeper in you remembers that life is always moving, even when the movement is hidden. Something deeper in you begins to understand that what is good does not need to be hunted down with fear. It can be trusted. It can be welcomed. It can be received. And so, if the mind begins to worry again, bring it back gently. If the heart grows tired, hold it with tenderness. If fear starts telling you that nothing is coming, answer it softly with a deeper truth. Everything good is already on its way. Peace is making its way to me. Healing is making its way to me. Love is making its way to me. Clarity is making its way to me. Support is making its way to me. I do not need to know every road to trust that life is still moving. The more you return to this truth, the more natural it begins to feel. The mind stops jumping so quick, lie to lack. The body stops carrying so much urgency. The spirit begins to breathe again. You feel less like someone standing outside with empty hands and more like someone already held inside the flow of life. You begin to realize that you are not cut off from goodness. You are part of it. You are not chasing life from the outside. You are living within it. And within life, so much can still reach you. If goodness is trying to find its way to you, then it is important to notice what keeps the heart closed. Very often, it is not life that is blocking the blessing. It is fear. It is doubt. It is the old habit of control. These things do not always appear in loud or obvious ways. Sometimes they sound like small thoughts that repeat again and again. What if it never happens? What if I am not ready? What if I lose it? What if I trust and get hurt? What if this is all too good for me? These thoughts may seem small, but when they are repeated long enough, they become walls inside the mind. Fear often begins as protection. It tries to prepare you for pain before pain arrives. It tries to stop disappointment by expecting it first. It tries to keep the heart safe by making it smaller. And for a moment, this can feel useful. It can feel like wisdom. It can feel like being careful. But fear does not know how to create peace. Fear does not know how to open the door to receiving. Fear only knows how to tighten, brace, guard, and expect the worst. A fearful mind may feel busy, but it is not at rest. A fearful heart may feel alert, but it is not open. Doubt works in a quieter way. Doubt does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It asks, "Who do you think you are to expect something beautiful?" It says, "Maybe this works for others, but not for you." It says, "Maybe you have already missed your chance." It says, "Maybe the good you want belongs somewhere else." Doubt tries to separate you from possibility. It tries to make you feel distant from your own future. And when doubt is left unchallenged, it becomes easy to live as if blessings are always for someone else, somewhere else, someday later. Control is another way the heart tries to stay safe. Control says, "If I can manage every detail, then maybe I can avoid pain. If I can figure out the whole path now, then maybe I can relax. If I can keep everything in place, then maybe nothing will go wrong." But control is exhausting. It places the weight of the whole future on the shoulders of the present moment. It makes the body tight. It makes the breath shallow. It makes trust feel impossible because everything must pass through the narrow gate of certainty first. And life is rarely that small. Life cannot always be managed into peace. The need to control often grows stronger after disappointment. If something once hurt you, part of the mind may decide it must now protect you by staying in charge of everything. If life once felt uncertain, the mind may try to become your full-time guard. This is understandable. It is human. But what once felt like protection can quietly become prison. What once seemed like safety can begin to block joy, intimacy, peace, and receiving. Because life cannot fully enter where fear has locked every door. Letting go of fear, doubt, and control does not mean becoming careless. It does not mean pretending pain is impossible. It does not mean throwing wisdom away. It means laying down what is no longer helping you. It means noticing when your old ways of protecting yourself are now only keeping you tense, tired, and far from peace. It means telling the nervous system that it does not have to live in battle all the time. It means reminding the heart that softness is not danger. Softness can be wisdom too. There is often a strange feeling that comes when you begin to let go. Part of you may feel relief, but another part may feel nervous. Because the old tension, even when painful, can become familiar. Familiar patterns often feel safer than peaceful ones, simply because they are known. A restless mind can grow used to its own noise. A fearful heart can grow used to guarding itself. So when peace begins to enter, it may feel unfamiliar at first. That is why letting go is not always one single moment. Sometimes it is a gentle practice, a return, a release, a soft choice made again and again. You may notice fear in your body before you notice it in your thoughts. Tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, a stomach that never fully relaxes, a breath that stays high and shallow. These are signs that something inside is still bracing. And the beautiful thing is this: the body can also help lead you back. When you notice the tension, you can begin to soften. When you notice the breath shortening, you can lengthen it. When you notice the grip of control, you can ask yourself, what am I carrying right now that does not need to be carried this way? Sometimes the answer is very simple. You are carrying a future that has not yet arrived. You are carrying the fear of being hurt again. You are carrying old disappointment as if it must predict everything ahead. You are carrying the belief that if you do not stay tense, life will fall apart. But life is not being held together by your fear. Life is not becoming safer because you worry more. Life is not becoming kinder because you expect the worst. These old habits may feel powerful, but they do not create the peace your spirit is asking for. To let go, you do not need to force yourself into instant trust. You only need to begin with honesty. You can say, I have been afraid. I have been doubting. I have been trying to control what I cannot fully control. I have been carrying too much. This kind of truth is healing because it stops the struggle of pretending. It brings light into the inner room. It lets the heart breathe. And once there is honesty, there can be choice. Once there is awareness, there can be release. Release often begins with willingness, not perfection, not total certainty, just willingness. Willingness to let one fear soften. Willingness to stop telling one old story. Willingness to loosen the grip a little. Willingness to say, maybe I do not need to protect myself in this exact old way anymore. Maybe life can hold more than I thought. Maybe I can trust one small step. Maybe I can allow a little more peace into the room. Fear will often tell you that letting go means losing control. But what if what you gain is greater than what you release? What if by letting go of fear you gain clarity? What if by letting go of doubt you gain openness? What if by letting go of control you gain peace? What if the very thing you have been afraid to release is the thing standing between you and the softness you have been longing for? These are powerful questions because they make space for a different future. The truth is, you do not have to keep living as if every hard moment from the past must guide every choice in the present. You do not have to keep listening to fear as if it is the only voice that cares about your safety. There is another voice within you, a wiser voice, a calmer voice, a voice that says, breathe, a voice that says, not everything must be solved right now, a voice that says, you are allowed to rest, a voice that says, peace is not foolish. Peace is your natural state when fear is no longer running the whole inner world. You may have doubted yourself for a long time. You may have doubted life. You may have doubted that good things could come without struggle. But even doubt can be softened. Doubt is not your deepest truth. It is a learned response. It is a pattern. It is a habit of thought, and habits can change. Patterns can loosen. The mind can learn a new way. The heart can remember trust. The body can remember calm. None of this happens by shame. It happens by gentleness. It happens by repetition. It happens by returning again and again to a truer thought. One true thought can begin to undo many fearful ones. One quiet sentence can begin to open the whole heart. I am safe enough to release this. I do not need to control everything to be okay. I can let peace in. I can trust what is mine to come in the right way. These thoughts are not weak. They are powerful because they stop feeding the old fire. They stop giving fear the same food it has always lived on. And when fear is no longer fed in the same way, it begins to lose its hold. Control often says, if I let go, everything will fall apart. But many times things do not fall apart when you let go. They begin to fall into place. You start to see more clearly. You start to hear your own guidance more easily. You stop forcing what is not aligned. You become available to what is. There is grace in that. There is relief in that. There is wisdom in understanding that not everything needs to be gripped to be real. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to set down just one layer of fear. Not all of it, just one layer. Imagine what it would feel like to stop repeating one old doubt. Imagine what it would feel like to tell control, you may rest now. I do not need you to carry the whole future. This is how release begins, in small, sacred moments, in honest breaths, in quiet choices, in the decision not to keep worshiping fear as if it is the guardian of your life. There is something very tender that happens when you stop fighting so hard with uncertainty. The heart begins to soften. The body begins to feel less crowded. The mind begins to quiet down. And in that quieter space, you can feel the truth more clearly. The truth that you were not made to live clenched. The truth that you were not made to carry tomorrow before it arrives. The truth that life may still be trustworthy, even after disappointment. The truth that what is meant for you does not need to be held together by panic. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the understanding that peace is more powerful than fear ever was. It is the understanding that doubt does not deserve to write the whole story. It is the understanding that control has limits and trust opens doors that force cannot. It is the understanding that the heart heals when it no longer treats every unknown as an enemy. So let yourself begin here. Let yourself notice what you have been carrying. Let yourself admit what has become too heavy. Let yourself soften your hold on fear, doubt, and control. Not with force, not with pressure, but with love. A love that says, "You have held this long enough." A love that says, "You are allowed to rest now." A love that says, "Goodness can reach you more easily when your hands are open." There are moments in life when the hardest thing is not the dream itself, but the waiting. You may know what your heart longs for. You may feel deeply that something beautiful belongs in your life. And yet the days pass, the seasons change, and still it seems as if nothing is arriving fast enough. This is where many people begin to suffer most. Not only because they are waiting, but because they begin to turn waiting into a painful story. They tell themselves they are behind. They tell themselves it is too late. They tell themselves that delay means failure. But delay is not always failure. Sometimes delay is timing. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes delay is life doing quiet work that your eyes cannot yet fully see. Divine timing means that life unfolds with a wisdom deeper than your fear. It means that not everything must happen according to the anxious clock of the mind. The mind usually wants things now because now feels safer than uncertainty. Now feels easier than patience. Now feels more controllable than trust. But life is not rushed by fear. Life moves with purpose. Life moves in ways that prepare you, shape you, strengthen you, and align you for what is truly ready to arrive. Divine timing is not punishment. It is not neglect. It is wisdom in motion. There is a great difference between something being denied and something being prepared. When the heart is tired, it can be hard to feel that difference. A closed door can feel like rejection. A delay can feel like silence. A long season can feel empty. But many times, life is not saying no. It is saying not yet. It is saying there is more happening here than you can see. It is saying I am still shaping the path. It is saying I am still preparing the ground. It is saying I am still bringing the right pieces together in the rig. Away. Think about how often people want the next chapter before they are ready to live it fully. They want the relationship before the heart is healed enough to receive it peacefully. They want the opportunity before the confidence has grown enough to hold it. They want the answer before they have become quiet enough to understand its deeper meaning. Divine timing is loving in this way. It does not only ask what you want, it also asks what can truly bless you. And sometimes what can truly bless you needs a little more time. This can be difficult for the mind because the mind often sees only what is missing in the moment. It looks at the empty place and says, something is wrong. It looks at the unanswered prayer and says, I have been forgotten. It looks at the long path and says, I am late. But the heart becomes peaceful when it learns not to turn every delay into a wound. The heart becomes steadier when it begins to trust that life does not move randomly. Life is not dropping blessings from the sky without meaning. Life is intelligent. Life is ordered. Life knows how to weave timing in ways that the fearful mind cannot always measure. The sun does not rise before dawn because the sky grows impatient. The fruit does not ripen faster because the tree feels rushed. The flower does not open by force because someone stands nearby demanding it. Everything in nature moves in right timing. Everything unfolds according to a rhythm that cannot be hurried without losing its beauty. And you are not separate from that rhythm. Your life also has seasons. Your healing has seasons. Your becoming has seasons. There are things that must root before they bloom. There are truths that must deepen before they can be lived. There are moments that are still ripening. When you do not understand timing, waiting can feel cruel. But when you begin to trust timing, waiting becomes softer. It becomes less about being stuck and more about being held in a process. It becomes less about emptiness and more about preparation. It becomes less about failure and more about unfolding. You begin to realize that life has not placed you in a pause by mistake. There may be something here for you, something growing, something changing, something clearing, something aligning, something becoming strong enough to hold what is on its way. Trust does not mean you stop feeling the weight of waiting. Trust means you no longer let waiting turn into hopelessness. Trust means you speak to the delay in a different way. Instead of saying, nothing is happening, you begin to say, something may still be forming. Instead of saying, I am behind, you begin to say, I am in process. Instead of saying, life has forgotten me, you begin to say, life is still moving, even here. This kind of trust does not erase all discomfort, but it changes your relationship with time. It changes the emotional meaning of the season you are in. There are blessings that would have felt too small if they arrived too soon. There are doors that would have opened before you were strong enough to walk through them without fear. There are answers that would not have made sense earlier because you had not yet become the person who could truly receive them. This is why timing matters. It is not only about the thing arriving, it is also about who you are when it arrives. Divine timing is not only bringing the blessing closer, it is also helping you become ready in the deepest way. Readiness does not mean perfection. It does not mean having every fear gone and every question answered. It means there is enough inner room for what is coming, enough trust, enough truth, enough openness, enough strength, enough peace. Sometimes life delays what you want because it is helping you build the inner ground where that blessing can land and stay. A rushed blessing can still feel unstable, but a blessing that arrives in right timing often feels different. It feels grounded. It feels clear. It feels as if life itself has made room for it. This is why comparing your path to someone else's path only creates more suffering. Their timing is not your timing. Their season is not your season. Their road is not your road. What blooms for one person today may bloom for you later, and that later does not mean less. It may simply mean different timing, deeper preparation, or a different kind of unfolding. Your life cannot be measured honestly by someone else's clock. The only real question is whether you can stay open enough to trust your own path, even when it does not move on the schedule fear would prefer. There is a kind of peace that comes when you stop fighting time, when you stop demanding that life prove itself now, when you stop deciding that if it has not happened yet, it never will. Fighting time creates so much pain. It makes every day feel like evidence against you. It makes every delay feel personal. But trust transforms the same season. Trust says, I may not understand this moment fully, but I do not need to turn it into a curse. Trust says, I may still long for more, but I can still believe that life is working. Trust says, I can wait without abandoning hope. Waiting with trust feels very different from waiting with fear. Waiting with fear is tense. It is constantly checking, counting, comparing, and doubting. Waiting with trust is softer. It does not mean doing nothing. It means not poisoning the season with panic. It means continuing to live, breathe, grow, and stay open while the path unfolds. It means knowing that your life is not paused just because one answer has not yet appeared. So much can still happen in the waiting. Healing can happen. Clarity can happen. Self-worth can deepen. Peace can take root. You can become more fully yourself while life is still arranging what comes next. If you have ever thought, why is this taking so long? Let that question be held with tenderness. It is a human question. It comes from longing. It comes from hope. It comes from the deep desire to feel settled and supported. But alongside that question, let another question arise. What if this timing is not against me? What if this season is doing something for me that I cannot yet fully see? What if the answer is not absent, but still being shaped in love? These questions do not force belief. they create room for faith. They create a gentler space inside the mind. Divine timing asks for surrender, but not the kind that gives up on life. It asks for the kind of surrender that stops wrestling with what cannot be rushed. It asks for the kind of surrender that says, I will keep my heart open while the path becomes clear. I will keep trusting while the pieces move into place. I will keep believing that what belongs to me does not need to arrive through panic. This surrender is strong. It is mature. It is peaceful. It lets life be wise without turning every unknown into a threat. You are not late for your own life. You are not behind in the way fear says you are. You are not forgotten because the answer has taken time. You are not being punished by the season you are in. There is still movement. There is still becoming. There is still grace at work, even if it is quiet right now. The mind may still ask for dates, proof, and guarantees, but the heart can choose something deeper. It can choose trust. It can choose patience without bitterness. It can choose softness without giving up. If something is meant for you, right timing matters. Right timing protects what is fragile. Right timing strengthens what is growing. Right timing keeps you from settling for what only looks like the answer. Right timing allows what is real to arrive in a fuller way. This is why trust is not passive. Trust is active openness. Trust is staying available. Trust is refusing to let disappointment harden the whole heart. Trust is saying, I do not know the full schedule of life, but I know I am still held within it. So let yourself breathe inside this truth. Life is not rushing, but it is not absent. Time is moving, and so is grace. What is meant for you is not confused. It is not lost. It is not forgetting the road. It is arriving in the timing that can truly support it, truly bless it, and truly hold it. And while you wait, you are not wasting time. You are becoming. You are healing. You are learning to trust more deeply. You are making room for what can arrive and stay. When fear rises again, remind yourself gently, there is no need to force the season. There is no need to measure your worth by the speed of arrival. There is no need to call yourself late. What is yours is still unfolding. What is yours is still finding its moment. What is yours is still moving through the unseen. And you, right here, are allowed to soften into trust. You are allowed to rest in the wisdom of timing. You are allowed to believe that life knows how to bring things at the hour they can truly bloom. Once you begin to trust that everything good is already on its way, and once you begin to loosen the hold of fear, doubt, and control, the next step becomes very natural. You begin to open. This may sound simple, but it is one of the deepest changes a person can make. Many people say they want love, peace, abundance, healing, and joy, but deep inside they are still closed to receiving. They are still ill-guarding the heart. They are still expecting disappointment. They are still carrying the quiet belief that good things may not really stay. So even when life tries to bring something beautiful closer, the inner world is not fully ready to welcome it. To be open and receptive means you stop living with your hands closed around old pain. It means you stop standing at the door of your life with suspicion in your voice. It means you begin to let goodness feel possible again. Not just in the mind, but in the body, in the heart, in the way you move through your day. Openness is not only a thought, it is an inner posture. It is the feeling that says, I am willing to receive. I am willing to be supported. I am willing to let love in. I am willing to let life be kinder than my fear expected. Many people are more comfortable giving than receiving. They know how to work, help, push, strive, and care for others. But when goodness starts to come toward them, they become unsure. They pull back. They question it. They look for what is wrong. They wonder if it will last. They wonder if they deserve it. They wonder if they must still prove something before they can fully accept it. This is very common. It often comes from old habits, old pain, old stories about worth, and old moments when receiving did not feel safe. But the heart was not made to stay closed forever. It was made to open, to soften, and to let life in. Being open does not mean you will never feel fear again. It means you no longer let fear make every decision. Being receptive does not mean you stop using wisdom. It means you stop rejecting blessings just because they arrive through unfamiliar doors. It means you stop pushing away peace because tension has become more familiar. It means you stop arguing with love when it comes close. It means you stop treating goodness like a stranger when it has been trying to find its way to you all along. There is something very beautiful that begins to happen when the heart opens. Life starts to feel different, even before the outer world changes in a big way. There is more softness in the breath. There is more ease in the body. There is more room in the mind. You become less guarded and more available. You notice small signs of support more easily. You notice the gentle ways life is already responding to you. You become aware that receiving is not a dramatic event that only happens once in a while. Receiving can become a daily way of living. Receiving a peaceful breath. Receiving a quiet answer. Receiving a moment of clarity. Receiving rest. Receiving kindness. Receiving the truth that you are worthy now. Sometimes the greatest block to receiving is not the outside world. It is the hidden belief that says, I am not ready, or I am not enough, or maybe good things are for other people. These beliefs can live quietly beneath the surface. They may not always be obvious, but they shape how open you feel. If someone offers support, you may brush it away. If life offers a new chance, you may doubt it. If peace begins to arrive, you may become restless because calm feels unfamiliar. This is why becoming open and receptive is such an important shift. It is not only about what is coming to you. It is about what you now allow yourself to hold. You are allowed to hold peace. You are allowed to hold love. You are allowed to hold rest without guilt. You are allowed to hold abundance without fear. You are allowed to hold joy without waiting for something to go wrong. These truths can take time to feel natural if the heart has spent years learning to prepare for disappointment. But the more you return to them, the more your whole being begins to soften into a new way of living. A way that does not always ask, "What will I lose?" A way that can begin to ask, "What if life is truly trying to bless me?" Openness is an act of faith. It says, "I do not need to know every detail before I soften." Receptivity is an act of trust. It says, "I can let something good come closer without pushing it away." Together, they create a beautiful space inside you, a space where blessings can land, a space where healing can deepen, a space where your own worth can be felt more clearly. When you are open and receptive, life does not need to fight through so many walls to reach you. There is room, there is permission, there is welcome. Think about what it feels like to enter a room where you are truly wanted. The room feels different. The energy feels warmer. There is ease there. There is no need to prove yourself or defend your presence. In a similar way, when you become open and receptive, you create that kind of room within yourself. You create a place where peace can enter and stay. You create a place where love is not questioned the moment it appears. You create a place where your own spirit can finally exhale and feel, "I do not have to close myself to survive." This is not something you force. A flower does not force itself open by fear. It opens because the conditions become gentle enough. Your heart is much the same. It opens through safety. It opens through kindness. It opens through trust. It opens when the old pressure begins to lift. It opens when you stop speaking to yourself with so much hardness. It opens when you stop asking yourself to earn what has always belonged to you as part of life's natural goodness. To become receptive, you may need to slow down enough to notice what you usually reject. Do you reject compliments because they feel uncomfortable? Do you reject help because it feels safer to carry everything alone? Do you reject stillness because movement feels more familiar? Do you reject joy because part of you expects it to disappear? These small patterns matter. They show you where the heart is still guarded. And once you can see them, you can begin to choose differently. You can begin to say yes a little more often. Yes to support. Yes to peace. Yes to kindness. Yes to the possibility that life may be offering more than your old habits know how to receive. There is also deep healing in learning that receiving is not selfish. Many people carry guilt around receiving. They feel more comfortable giving, helping, pleasing, and carrying. But to receive is part of the natural rhythm of life. The earth receives rain, the flowers receive sunlight, the lungs receive air, the heart receives love. You were not made only to pour out. You were also made to be filled. You were made to be nourished, comforted, supported, and renewed. When you allow yourself to receive, you are not breaking the flow of life. You are joining it more fully. Receiving also changes the way you see yourself. When you begin to let goodness in, you begin to feel more worthy of it. When you let peace stay a little longer, you begin to trust that peace belongs with you. When you accept support, you begin to understand that you are not meant to carry everything alone. When you open to joy, you begin to see that life is not only made of struggle. Little by little, receiving reshapes the inner story. It teaches the heart that goodness is not an accident. It is part of the path. Imagine your heart as a window. For a long time, maybe it has been shut because the weather once felt harsh. Maybe it has stayed closed because fear told it that opening was dangerous. But now the light is different. The air is softer. The season is changing. And your heart is allowed to open the window again. Not all at once if that feels too much. Just enough to let fresh air in. Just enough to let peace move through. Just enough to let life remind you that not every breeze carries pain. Some carry healing. Some carry love. Some carry the next breath of hope. Openness also means allowing the good to come in forms you did not expect. Life often answers in surprising ways. The mind may want one exact picture, one exact path, one exact outcome. But blessings often arrive through different doors. An answer may come through a quiet change in perspective. A new beginning may arrive through an ending you did not plan. Support may come through a small moment, not a dramatic event. Healing may come slowly, gently, in ways the mind almost misses because it expected something louder. This is why receptivity matters so much. It lets you notice the grace that fear would overlook. As you become more open, you may also feel more tender. That is natural. An opening heart can feel more deeply. It can notice more. It can become softer to the truth. But tenderness is not weakness. Tenderness is the ground where love grows. Tenderness is where real peace begins. A tender heart is still strong. It simply no longer uses hardness as its only form of protection. It begins to trust in truth, in worth, in presence, in life itself. So let yourself practice openness in small ways. Let yourself receive one peaceful breath without pushing it away. Let yourself receive one kind word without doubting it. Let yourself receive one moment of stillness without filling it with worry. Let yourself receive the possibility that what you desire may already be closer than you think. These little openings matter. They teach the nervous system that goodness is safe to hold. They teach the heart that life does not always have to be met with defense. They teach the mind that not everything beautiful needs to be questioned before it can be loved. You are allowed to open. You are allowed to receive. You are allowed to say yes to the good that is trying to reach you. You are allowed to soften enough to let peace stay. You are allowed to believe that life supports you. You are allowed to feel worthy of love, worthy of healing, worthy of blessing, worthy of rest. Not someday after you become perfect, not later after you have earned enough. Now, here, in this moment, the door can begin to open now. And once that door begins to open, even a little, everything changes. Because life meets openness, life moves toward receptivity. Life enters where there is space. And when your heart says, "I am ready to receive," you begin to feel that the things you long for are no longer far away. They are not strangers. They are not impossible. They are simply making their way into a heart that is finally ready to welcome them. Words matter more than many people realize. The words you repeat quietly in your mind each day become the tone of your inner world. The words you say to yourself become the shape of your energy. The words you believe begin to guide what you notice, what you expect, and what you allow. This is why affirmations are so powerful. They are not just nice sentences. They are directions. They are seeds. They are repeated reminders that help the mind and heart return to truth instead of fear. When fear has spoken for a long time, the mind can begin to think its voice is the only honest one. It can sound very convincing. It can say, "Nothing ever works out." It can say, "You are still waiting because you are not meant to have it." It can say, "Do not get your hopes up." It can say, "Stay guarded. Stay doubtful. Stay small." But these thoughts are not the deepest truth of your life. They are habits. And affirmations begin to replace those habits with something softer, wiser, and more aligned with what you want to receive. The beauty of affirmations is that they do not need to be complicated. In fact, the simpler they are, the more deeply they can settle into the heart. Simple words repeated with presence can do more than long explanations spoken with fear. The mind learns through repetition. The body responds to repeated emotional truth. The heart softens when it hears the same loving message again and again. This is why affirmations can become such a powerful part of manifestation. They shift your inner language. And when your inner language changes, the way you meet life begins to change too. Manifestation is not only about wanting something, it is about becoming available to it. It is about aligning your thoughts, your feelings, your trust, and your inner tone with what you are ready to receive. If you say you want peace, but inside you repeat only panic, the body stays in confusion. If you say you want love, but inside you repeat only fear and self-doubt, the heart stays guarded. If you say you want abundance, but inside you repeat only scarcity, the mind stays closed. Affirmations help bring your inner world into harmony with the life you are asking for. So let the words become gentle and true. Let them be simple enough to return to easily. Let them feel like breaths rather than commands. You do not need to shout them. You do not need to force belief. You only need to offer them again and again, kindly, patiently, with openness. In this way, affirmations become like drops of water falling on dry ground. One drop may seem small, but over time the whole soil changes. You can begin with the heart of this message. Everything good is finding its way to me. These words carry peace inside them. They remind the mind that it does not need to live in constant lack. They remind the heart that life is still moving. They remind the body that tension is not the only way to relate to the future. Everything good is finding its way to me. Let those words become familiar. Let them become a resting place when fear begins to speak too loudly. Let them settle into the nervous system as a new possibility. Then let the next truth rise softly. I am open and ready to receive. This affirmation matters because it tells the whole being that the door is no longer closed. It says, I do not have to keep myself shut. I do not have to turn away from support, love, peace, or abundance. I am open and ready to receive. These words make room inside you. They shift you out of guarding and into allowing. They begin to teach the body that receiving is safe. Another beautiful affirmation for this path is, I trust the timing of my life. These words are like medicine for impatience and fear. They calm the part of the mind that wants to rush, compare, and worry. They remind the heart that timing is not always punishment. They remind the spirit that your path does not need to look like anyone else's path. I trust the timing of my life. The more you repeat these words, the less likely you are to turn every delay into a story of failure. They return you to a deeper relationship with trust. You may also say, what is meant for me comes with ease. This does not mean life has no effort. It means what is truly aligned does not need to be forced through panic. It means your peace does not need to be the price of your blessing. It means that what belongs to you can arrive in a way that feels true, grounded, and right. What is meant for me comes with ease. These words soften the old habit of chasing. They remind the heart that goodness can move gently too. For the mind that has carried worry, this affirmation can be very healing. I release fear and welcome peace. Notice how simple it is. It does not fight fear. It does not shame fear. It simply opens the door and chooses something new. I release fear and welcome peace. This is how real change often happens, not by arguing with every fearful thought, but by quietly returning to a better one, by calmly choosing a different inner direction, by feeding the truth you want to grow. For the heart that has felt forgotten or tired, this affirmation can feel like a warm hand resting on the chest. I am guided, supported, and loved. These words remind you that you are not moving through life alone. They remind you that support is not absent just because it is quiet. They remind you that life is still with you, even in the seasons when the path is not fully clear. I am guided, supported, and loved. There is deep comfort in letting this sentence become familiar. Affirmations also become stronger when you let them meet the body. Let the shoulders soften as you say them. Let the breath slow down. Let the jaw loosen. Let the chest open a little. When the body stays hard and tense, it can be harder for the words to settle in. But when the body softens, the message can go deeper. It becomes not only something you think, but something you begin to feel. That feeling matters. Manifestation is not just mental, it is emotional. It is energetic. It is the whole being saying yes. Sometimes the mind will argue when you begin affirmations. It may say, "This is not true yet." It may say, "You do not fully believe this." That is all right. You do not need perfect belief in the beginning. You only need willingness. You only need to stop giving fear the only microphone. You only need to make space for a new voice. With repetition, the new voice grows stronger. With repetition, the heart becomes more comfortable with peace. With repetition, the mind stops clinging so tightly to old patterns. You can speak affirmations in quiet moments throughout the day. You can say them in the morning before fear has a chance to fill the mind. You can return to them when doubt rises. You can repeat them before sleep when the inner world becomes softer and more open. You can use them anytime the heart needs to remember what is true. Their power is not in saying them once with great force. Their power is in returning to them often with gentleness. Let the rhythm be simple. Everything good is finding its way to me. I am open and ready to receive. I trust the timing of my life. What is meant for me comes with ease. I release fear and welcome peace. I am guided, supported, and loved. These words work together beautifully. They calm the nervous system. They open the heart. They shift the inner atmosphere from lack to trust, from tension to peace, from chasing to allowing. There is also great healing in speaking affirmations slowly enough that the heart can hear them. So often people rush through kind words and then spend great time and energy repeating fearful ones. Let it be the other way now. Let fear become the voice you no longer feed so easily. Let truth become the voice you return to with care. Let your own inner world hear peace more often than panic. Let your own body hear support more often than pressure. Let your own heart hear worth more often than doubt. Affirmations are especially powerful when they are connected to feeling. As you say, everything good is finding its way to me, imagine your body softening. As you say, I am open and ready to receive, imagine your heart opening a little more. As you say, I trust the timing of my life, imagine your shoulders putting down the heavy weight of rushing. As you say, I release fear and welcome peace. Imagine light moving into the places where tension has lived. The feeling helps the truth settle deeper. The body begins to learn what the words mean. Over time, affirmations begin to change what feels normal. Fear no longer sounds as convincing. Doubt no longer feels as permanent. Peace begins to feel more familiar. Trust begins to feel more natural. You start to notice that you no longer speak to your future with the same harshness. You no longer think of blessings as so far away. You no longer assume delay means rejection. The inner world grows steadier, softer, more open. And that inner change matters deeply because manifestation begins inside before it shows outside. This is not about pretending. It is about choosing words that match the life you are ready to welcome, choosing language that supports the heart instead of draining it, choosing to repeat what heals rather than what harms, choosing to align your mind with peace, your heart with trust, and your energy with receiving. Every affirmation is a quiet act of creation. Every loving sentence is a small opening. Every repeated truth is a seed planted in the direction of the life you are becoming. So let your affirmations be simple. Let them be soft. Let them return again and again like a calm stream. Let them remind you that goodness is not far, that peace is possible, that your life is supported, and that what is meant for you can find you. Let them become part of the way you breathe, the way you think, the way you move through your days. And in time, you will feel the shift. What once felt distant will begin to feel near. What once felt impossible will begin to feel natural. What once felt like only a wish will begin to feel like something the heart truly knows. Now let yourself move even deeper into this truth by seeing it, not only in words, but in feeling and imagination. The heart often understands images more gently than arguments. The mind can resist, but the inner world opens more easily when it is given something soft and beautiful to rest in. So imagine for a moment that you're standing in a quiet place just after sunrise. The air is calm, the light is warm and golden. There is no rush here, no pressure, no noise asking anything from you. There is only space, breath, and the gentle feeling that something peaceful is already moving toward you. In front of you is a wide, beautiful path. It is not dark or uncertain. It is soft and clear. The light stretches across it as if it already knows the way. You do not need to run down this path. You do not need to search every corner of it. You do not need to drag anything toward you. You only need to stand here, breathe, and notice that things are already coming closer in their own way, in their own time. The path is alive with quiet movement. The path is carrying goodness. See peace making its way down that path toward you. It is not loud. It does not rush. It moves like a gentle morning breeze, steady and sure. It knows where you are. It is not confused. It does not need to be chased. It is simply arriving. As it comes closer, you can feel your chest become softer. The breath becomes deeper. The body begins to remember what calm feels like. Peace is not somewhere far away. Peace is finding its way to you. Now imagine healing making its way toward you on that same path. Healing does not always arrive in one sudden moment. Sometimes it comes gently, like light touching the edges of the night. Sometimes it comes one breath at a time, one day at a time, one quiet release at a time. See it moving toward you now, warm and steady, carrying comfort into places that have felt tired, afraid, or heavy. Let yourself feel that healing knows how to find you. It does not need to be forced. It knows the road. Now see love making its way toward you. Not love as fear imagines it, but love in its truest form. Love that feels safe. Love that feels honest. Love that does not ask you to become smaller. Love that does not need to be begged for. Love that does not rush in and disappear. This love moves with steadiness. It carries truth. It carries warmth. It carries belonging. Let yourself feel that you do not need to run after love with desperate hands. Love that is meant for you can find you with peace. Now imagine abundance making its way toward you too. Not only in money or things, but in support, opportunities, time, energy, and open doors. See abundance as light moving down the path. It does not arrive through panic. It does not need to be pulled in by fear. It is moving toward you because life is generous in ways the fearful mind often forgets. Let yourself feel that there is enough support, enough possibility, enough good still unfolding, enough room in your life for something beautiful to arrive and stay. As you stand on this path, imagine that your hands are open. You are no longer holding stones of fear, doubt, and control. You are no longer gripping the past so tightly. Your hands are empty in the best possible way. They are ready. They are relaxed. They are willing to receive. Feel the difference between clenched hands and open hands. One is tired, strained, defensive. The other is restful, trusting, available. The more open your hands become, the more natural it feels for goodness to arrive. Now imagine golden light beginning to gather around you. It is soft, warm, and kind. This light is the feeling of being supported by life. It wraps around your shoulders, your chest, your breath, your whole body. It says, you do not have to chase what is already coming to you. You do not have to fear every unknown. You do not have to doubt your place in this life. You are held here. You are seen here. You are part of this flow. Let the light settle into you like truth. Let it soften the places that still feel guarded. If there is any heaviness in you, imagine placing it gently down beside the path. Maybe it is a fear about timing. Maybe it is old disappointment. Maybe it is the belief that you have missed your chance. Maybe it is the habit of expecting less to protect yourself from pain. Whatever it is, let it be set down now. You do not have to carry it while goodness is trying to reach you. You do not have to keep holding what no longer helps you receive. As you put it down, notice how much lighter the body feels. Notice how the breath moves more freely. Now imagine that all the good you have been quietly hoping for is not scattered in different places. It is gathered on this path, moving toward you with calm purpose. Peace is coming. Healing is coming. Love is coming. Clarity is coming. Support is coming. Joy is coming. Rest is coming. The path is alive with blessing. The whole scene feels ordered, beautiful, and true. Nothing is lost. Nothing is confused. What is meant for you knows how to travel. What is meant for you knows where you are. Stand here for a moment longer and let the heart receive this image fully. Let it become more than imagination. Let it feel like a spiritual memory, a truth your deeper self already knows. Life has many roads, many timings, many hidden movements, but goodness still knows how to find you. You do not need to chase every answer when the path is already carrying things toward you. You do not need to rush your becoming. You do not need to live as if life has forgotten you. The path is still moving. The light is still moving. Goodness is still moving. Now imagine yourself taking one slow breath, and as you inhale, you breathe in trust. As you exhale, you release urgency. Inhale trust. Exhale urgency. Again, inhale trust. Exhale urgency. Feel how this changes the whole inner world. Feel how the body no longer needs to live in pursuit. Feel how the heart becomes softer when it knows it is not abandoned on the path. You are not standing alone in emptiness. You are standing in relationship with life, and life is still bringing good things closer. See the path now becoming brighter, as if the more you trust, the clearer it feels. Not because you suddenly know every detail, but because your fear is no longer making everything look so far away. The more you soften, the more near the blessings seem. The more open you become, the more natural receiving feels. The more you trust the movement of life, the less desperate the heart becomes. This is how visualization heals. It gives the nervous system a new experience. It shows the inner world what peace feels like. It lets the body taste trust. And if the mind tries to interrupt by saying, "But what if?" let the image answer more gently than words can. Let the path answer. Let the light answer. Let the open hands answer. Let the quiet movement of peace, healing, love, and abundance answer. They are still coming. They are still moving. They still know the way. The image itself becomes a reminder, a return point, a place inside you that you can revisit whenever fear begins to speak too loudly again. You can come back to this path anytime the heart feels tired, anytime the future feels heavy, anytime doubt returns. You can close your eyes, breathe, and see the path again. You can remember that goodness is not standing still. You can remember that life has not gone silent, even if the next step is not fully visible yet. You can remember that the things meant for you are not wandering without direction. They are making their way. They are already in motion. They are already on the road. The more you return to this vision, the more it will begin to feel natural. The heart will trust it more easily. The body will relax into it more quickly. The mind will stop arguing so hard with peace. And slowly, the inner world will begin to match the truth of the image. You will move through your days with more softness. You will feel less pressure to force. You will feel more willing to receive. You will feel more connected to life's quiet movement. So stay here one moment longer and let this sentence settle into the image, into the body, into the heart. Everything good is finding its way to me. Peace is finding its way to me. Healing is finding its way to me. Love is finding its way to me. Abundance is finding its way to me. I do not need to chase. I only need to stay open, stay trusting, and let life bring what is ready. There is something very calming that happens when all of these truths begin to come together. You stop living as if your life is one long race towards some distant peace. You stop speaking to yourself as if you are always late. You stop treating every delay as a loss and every unknown as a threat. Instead, you begin to rest in something deeper. You begin to understand that life is still moving with you, not against you. You begin to feel that what is meant for you is not fragile in the way fear says it is. It can still find you. It can still arrive. It can still unfold in beautiful, gentle ways. You do not need to leave this moment carrying the same old pressure. You do not need to go forward speaking the same fearful language to yourself. You do not need to keep living as if the whole future depends on how tightly you hold it today. There is another way now, a softer way, a truer way, a way where your heart is allowed to trust, a way where your body is allowed to rest, a way where your spirit is allowed to receive. You are not behind in your life. You are not forgotten by life. You are not too late for peace. You are not too late for healing. You are not too late for love. You are not too late for a new way of thinking, a new inner atmosphere, a new relationship with time, a new trust in the quiet wisdom of the path. These words matter because many hearts have lived too long under the weight of the opposite story. Too many people walk through life believing they have missed something final. But life is rarely as closed as fear makes it seem. There is still room, there is still time, there is still movement, there is still grace. Whatever has felt heavy in your heart does not need to stay heavy forever. Whatever has felt delayed does not need to become your identity. Whatever fear has repeated does not need to become your future. You are allowed to change the tone of your inner life. You are allowed to begin speaking to yourself as someone who is loved, supported, guided, and worthy. You are allowed to become the kind of person who no longer expects struggle to be the only path. You are allowed to become someone who trusts that goodness can arrive gently too. Let yourself feel how much freedom there is in in needing to know every answer right now. Let yourself feel how much peace there is in not needing to chase what belongs to you. Let yourself feel how much softness there is in saying, I am open, I am ready, I trust life, I trust timing, I trust that what is meant for me can find me. These truths calm the whole being. They relax the nervous system. They open the heart. They change the inner conditions where manifestation grows. You may still have questions. You may still be waiting for some things. You may still have moments where fear returns and tries to speak loudly again. That is all right. This path is not about never feeling doubt. It is about no longer letting doubt lead. It is about returning again and again to what is deeper than fear. It is about remembering that peace can still be chosen in the middle of uncertainty. It is about learning to trust life even before all the proof appears. It is about no longer standing at the edge of your future with clenched hands and a guarded heart. You can move forward from here in a new way. A way that does not deny your hopes, but also does not drain them with panic. A way that honors your desires, but does not turn them into pressure. A way that lets you care deeply without carrying everything so heavily. A way that lets you stand in truth, breathe in trust, and allow goodness to come close without fear pushing it away. So now, let these final affirmations move through you slowly, gently, and clearly. Let them be more than words. Let them be the tone of the space you carry after this moment. Let them be a new rhythm for your thoughts, your breath, your heart, and your trust. Everything good is finding its way to me. I am open and ready to receive. I trust the timing of my life. What is meant for me comes with ease. I release fear and welcome peace. I am guided, supported, and loved. I do not need to chase what belongs to me. Life is moving in my favor. I am safe to trust. I am safe to soften. I am safe to receive. Peace is finding its way to me. Healing is finding its way to me. Love is finding its way to me. Abundance is finding its way to me. I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am not too late. I am exactly where I need to be for this moment. Is well in my world. Let these words settle in you like a quiet blessing. Let them land gently in the chest, in the breath, in the body, in the nervous system. Let them become familiar. Let them return to you later in the day when the mind gets busy. Let them return to you tomorrow morning when you wake. Let them return to you at night when the heart grows tender. Let them become part of your new inner language, a language of trust, a language of peace, a language of openness, a language that no longer worships fear. There is no need to force the next step. There is no need to hurry your becoming. There is no need to demand every answer before you allow yourself to feel held. You can rest here. You can breathe here. You can trust here. You can allow life to keep unfolding. And as it unfolds, you can remember this simple, beautiful truth again and again. What is good is not lost. What is good is not forgetting you. What is good is still on the road. What is good is still finding its way. So if your heart has been tired, let it rest in this. If your mind has been racing, let it soften in this. If your spirit has been wondering whether life still remembers your hopes, let it be reassured now. You do not need to chase every blessing with fear. You do not need to control every step to be safe. You do not need to turn delay into despair. Everything good is finding its way to you. Even now, even quietly, even in ways you cannot fully see yet. Life is still moving. Peace is still possible. Healing is still unfolding. Love is still real. Support is still present. The path is still opening. And you are allowed to meet this moment with trust instead of tension, with openness instead of fear, with softness instead of struggle. Stay with that truth. Return to it often. Let it become the way you speak to your future, the way you hold your present, and the way you welcome what is already making its way to you.